This one is a huge battle between India number 1 Koneru Humpy and world number 1 Hou Yifan. Humpy gets her knight out to f3 and Yifan pushes her pawn to c5. Humpy pushes her pawn to c4. We have the symmetrical English. b6 played. Yifan is one of the strongest women players that the world has ever seen, perhaps only second to Judith Polgar in the history of chess. And Humpy is one of the finest players that the chess world has seen, and also has been India number 1 for decades now. They are playing the symmetrical English here. Very solid, calm opening. Bishop e2, both sides developing their pieces. Pawn comes up to e6. And now Humpy simply gets her king out of the way, castles, while Yifan is quickly finishing her development. Humpy strikes in the center with pawn to d4 and Yifan castles it out. Now the knight develops, and one of the ideas could be to push the pawn to block the bishop here. So Yifan quickly captures the pawn and Humpy takes it with the knight. Black now plays the knight to d7. Notice Humpy's last move, bishop f3. She's angling at the c6 square. She wants to weaken it up, and so after bishop takes, queen takes, now the knight can actually jump to c6. Yifan quickly moves her knight to e5 and takes control of the c6 square. Queen also joins in, and now will Humpy push her pawn to f4? Not really. She first gets her rook to the center. Very logical play. a6 takes control of the b5 square, and now the rook moves into the center as well. Yifan plays her rook to d8. At some point black would love to break in the center with pawn to d5. h3 played by Humpy, a calm move. Her idea is to play f4, but she may not want the knight to jump to g4. Rook comes to c8. And there you have it, f4. The game starts to get sharp now. Remember, there are many pieces in the diagonal of this bishop, but at some point it could clear out. The knight moves back to f3. Humpy maintaining a lot of pieces on the board. She knows that if she needs to attack, she needs her pieces. Queen goes to b7, and now Humpy pushes her pawn in the center of the board. You can see the strong pawn duo, but they can also become weaknesses, like Yifan is now showing. The f4 pawn is attacked and Humpy moves forward with her pawn. The e5 square is now weakened, but Humpy says, I'm well prepared. Oh, and Yifan takes. This does weaken the d5 square, and Humpy captures back the pawn. There's a very nice pawn sacrifice with d5, bishop c5, and the knight looking here. But Yifan first plays rook e8. Humpy moves her queen to f2, and now Yifan pushes d5. Bishop comes here and pins it. Oh my god, has Humpy lost her queen? Not really. She puts her knight and Yifan moves in with the rook, but this is a blunder. The main point for her is to attack this knight, but b4, what a move by Humpy. One of the pieces who was attacking d4 has to move, and now the pressure on d4 is reduced because it's defended twice right now, and the queen moves up, attacking the rook and the knight. Fantastic move. Yifan plays knight g3, but this is a huge blunder, and Humpy takes it. What Yifan has missed is that after knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, now she would love to play bishop takes. It's a check. Bishop takes and rook takes c1 and then pick this up, but she must have missed that this is a checkmate. She missed it completely there. And so now after cd, queen d5, Humpy plays her king to h1, queen a2, but she's now a piece up. What a miss by Yifan here. Humpy now has to maintain her cool in order to beat Hou Yifan. g6, pawn takes pawn, and now you take back, h takes g6, and the knight can actually jump into f5. Humpy finds it. Beautiful move here, because now the knight is looking at h6, also the d6 square. Rook goes to e8, queen c3, threatening a mate in one on the g7 and h8 square. The rook tries to block it, but now the knight jumps in with a check. And if the king comes up, there is knight g4 pinning the rook, so the king goes to f8. And now the knight still comes in here. Rook e4. But this is mate in 5. You go check here. King e7. She goes queen g7 check. Not the most accurate move. King e7. Queen f6. Good move. King h8. King f8. The mate here is to give a check. King e7. Queen h4. King here. Bishop g7. Takes. Queen h6 and knight f6 mate. Not an easy mate, but that one does exist. So she goes check. Knight comes to f6. Now it's a fork between the two rooks on e8 and e4. One of them has to move. She goes rook e2, but this is game over because the rook is now going to enter on d7 and Humpy plays it. King e6. She can now capture the pawn on f7 as well. She takes. King f5. Notice that the queen is looking at the queen, so have to be slightly careful with your next move. Humpy does find it. She blocks that, gives a check, and the black king is totally exposed, all about to get mated. Yifan resigns. Humpy has beaten the very strong world number 1 Hou Yifan. What a win for the Upgrad Mumbai Masters there, and she played some great chess and aggressive chess, but Yifan blundered a piece and Humpy punished it effectively.